The Indiana Fever just made a powerful move to secure a championship run. They've officially signed Briana Turner, a defensive powerhouse, to strengthen their front court. With Caitlin Clark leading the offense, this addition could be the missing piece to dominate the league. But does this move guarantee a title? Will Turner's presence be enough to elevate the Fever to the top? Let's break down why this signing is a game changer, what it means for Clark, and how it shifts the WNBA landscape. Stay locked in. This is huge. For weeks, fans speculated about the Fever's next move. After parting ways with Katie Lou Samuelson, Indiana had a clear agenda: to build around Clark without compromising defense. Enter Briana Turner, a defensive specialist who has proven herself in the league. But what exactly does this mean for the team? How will Turner's presence impact Caitlin Clark's rookie season and beyond? Let's break it all down. Turner's strengths, her fit in Indiana, and whether this move truly puts the Fever in title contention. When Caitlin Clark was drafted, the Fever instantly became one of the most talked about teams in the WNBA. But being talked about and actually winning games are two different things. Indiana finished last season out of playoff contention, proving that Clark alone won't be enough. They needed more firepower, especially on the defensive end. Caitlin Clark is an offensive juggernaut. Her ability to shoot from deep, create plays, and control the tempo is exactly what the Fever needed. However, every great scorer needs a strong defensive presence behind them. That's where Briana Turner comes in. So the Indiana Fever fans are furious with this signing. Absolutely furious with the fact the Fever have signed someone who appears to be a Caitlin Clark hater in Briana. For years, Turner has been a defensive anchor. She's made all WNBA defensive teams, proving she can lock down opponents, protect the rim, and rebound at an elite level. The Fever struggled with defense last season, allowing too many easy buckets in the paint. With Turner in the lineup, those days might be over. But Indiana didn't just need a great defender, they needed a high IQ player who fits the system. Turner isn't a star who demands the ball. She knows her role, thrives in it, and allows offensive players like Clark and Alyssa Smith to do their thing. That's what makes this move so brilliant. Briana Turner's strengths. What she brings to Indiana. Briana Turner isn't your typical WNBA big. She's not a dominant scorer, but she makes game-changing plays on the other end of the court. Let's dive into what makes her such an asset for Indiana. First, her rim protection is elite. Turner has consistently ranked among the top shot blockers in the league. She has a knack for timing her blocks, disrupting shots without fouling, and forcing opponents into low-percentage looks. That's exactly what Indiana's defense was missing last season. Second, she's a versatile defender. She can guard multiple positions, switch onto smaller players, and defend in space. In today's WNBA, where teams love to spread the floor, having a big who can defend the perimeter is crucial. Turner's ability to step out and contest jumpers gives Indiana a huge advantage defensively. Third, she's an elite rebounder. Last season, Indiana got killed on the boards way too often. Turner changes that immediately. She has the instincts, athleticism, and hustle to dominate the glass, securing extra possessions for the Fever. More rebounds mean more opportunities for Clark to push the pace and create fast break opportunities. Finally, she's a high IQ team player. She doesn't need the ball to be effective. Her job is to set screens, make defensive stops, and clean up the boards. This allows the Fever's offensive weapons to shine without having to worry about getting stops on the other end. Let's be real, Caitlin Clark is going to light up the WNBA, but for her to truly reach her potential, she needs a supporting cast that complements her strengths. That's exactly why the Fever went after Briana Turner. For one, Turner's defensive impact allows Clark to focus on scoring. If Indiana had a weaker front court, Clark would be forced to play more defense and expend more energy on that end. Now, with Turner protecting the paint, Clark can fully commit to running the offense, orchestrating plays, and getting buckets. Another key factor, Turner's rebounding fuels Clark's transition game. We've all seen Clark thrive in an up-tempo system. She loves to push the ball, hit teammates in stride, and knock down deep threes in transition. But you can't run if you don't get rebounds. That's where Turner comes in, grabbing boards, kicking the ball out, and letting Clark do what she does best. Turner also helps Clark by setting great screens. Clark is an elite shooter, but even the best shooters need space. Turner's ability to set hard screens and roll to the basket gives Clark the room she needs to fire away from deep or drive to the hoop. Lastly, Turner's experience and leadership will be crucial. Clark is stepping into the WNBA with massive expectations, and that pressure isn't easy to handle. Having veterans like Turner in the locker room gives Clark a stable presence, someone who's been there, done that, and can help guide her through the ups and downs of a long season. Now, the big question, does Briana Turner make the Fever a championship team? On paper, this move fills a huge gap, but let's take a step back and evaluate the bigger picture. The Fever are building something special, but they're still young. Caitlin Clark is a rookie. Nalissa Smith is developing. Aaliyah Boston is a rising star, but she's only in her second season. The talent is there, but experience matters in the WNBA. Look at the teams Indiana will have to go through. The New York Liberty, the Las Vegas Aces, the Connecticut Sun. These teams have established chemistry and playoff experience. Can the Fever compete with them right away? Maybe. Can they beat them in a 7-game series? That's still up for debate. However, the Fever aren't just thinking about 2025. They're building a long-term contender. Adding Turner is just one step in that process. If she helps Clark develop, strengthens their defense, and allows Indiana to make a deep playoff run, that's a huge success. And who knows, if Clark takes the league by storm, Smith and Boston continue to develop, and Turner provides the defensive presence they need, this team could surprise everyone. Stranger things have happened in the WNBA. Now that Turner is officially on board, what's the next move for the Fever? They still have cap space, and rumors suggest they could add another piece before the season starts. A veteran guard to help Clark run the offense, a sharpshooter to stretch the floor, a bench scorer to add depth. The possibilities are endless. One thing is clear. Indiana isn't done yet. This team isn't just aiming to be good, they want to be great, and with moves like this, they're proving that they're serious about winning. One thing's for sure, Caitlin Clark won't have to carry this team alone. The Fever are giving her the help she needs, and the rest of the WNBA better take notice. With Briana Turner officially joining the Indiana Fever, the dynamics of the team are shifting in a major way. It's not just about adding another body to the front court, it's about making strategic changes that will impact everything from rotations to playing style. Caitlin Clark is at the center of it all, but Turner's role will be just as important in determining how far this team can go. Let's start with what this means for Indiana's front court rotation. Before Turner's arrival, Aaliyah Boston and Nalissa Smith were the clear go-to options in the paint. Boston has already established herself as a dominant force, earning Rookie of the Year honors and proving she can hold her own against some of the best bigs in the league. Smith, on the other hand, has shown flashes of brilliance but still needs consistency on the defensive end. That's where Turner's presence becomes invaluable. Boston no longer has to shoulder the entire defensive load in the post. Last season, she often found herself battling inside without much help, which led to foul trouble and moments where she couldn't be as aggressive as she wanted to be. With Turner alongside her, Boston can play a more natural defensive role, focusing on contesting shots without worrying about getting overpowered in the paint. Turner's ability to switch onto different positions also allows Indiana to be more flexible with their defensive schemes. For Smith, Turner's arrival means she can focus more on her offensive strengths. She's already a solid mid-range shooter and has the potential to stretch her game beyond the arc. With Turner anchoring the paint, Smith will have more freedom to space the floor, making Indiana's offense even harder to guard. The spacing Turner provides might not come from three-point shooting, but her presence inside forces defenders to account for her, opening up cleaner looks for Smith, Clark, and the rest of the Fever's perimeter players. One of the most overlooked benefits of this move is how it changes Indiana's transition game. Turner isn't just a good rebounder, she's an elite one. Every possession she secures on the defensive glass is another opportunity for Clark to get out and run. Indiana wants to play fast, and that starts with rebounding. A team that struggles on the boards is forced into too many half-court sets, limiting their ability to capitalize on transition opportunities. Now, with Turner and Boston controlling the glass, Clark can push the ball immediately after a rebound, giving the Fever a deadly weapon in the open court. Speaking of transition, Turner's ability to run the floor will be another advantage. She's not just a stationary post player who clogs the lane. She's mobile, athletic, and willing to sprint in transition. That means more fast break opportunities where Clark can find her teammates cutting to the rim. Having a big who can keep up with Clark's pace is crucial, and Turner fits that role perfectly. On the defensive end, this move might be the biggest upgrade Indiana could have made. The WNBA is loaded with elite scorers, and stopping them isn't easy. Players like Briana Stewart, Aja Wilson, and Elena Del Don can take over a game in an instant. Last season, the Fever didn't have enough defensive firepower to slow down these types of players. Now, with Turner in the mix, they have someone who can match up against elite forwards and at least make life difficult for them. Turner's ability to defend multiple positions is what makes her so valuable. She's not just a traditional post defender. She can step out and guard stretch fours, switch onto guards in certain situations, and protect the rim all at the same time. That versatility allows Indiana to experiment with different defensive lineups. Depending on the matchup, if they need a bigger lineup, they can play Boston, Turner, and Smith together. If they need more speed, Turner can slide into the center spot in small ball lineups, giving them a mobile defensive anchor. This also gives head coach Christy Sides more options in late-game situations. Last season, the Fever often found themselves in close games where their defense couldn't get key stops in crunch time. Having Turner on the floor in those moments changes everything, whether it's contesting a last-second shot, forcing a bad pass, or grabbing a crucial rebound. She brings the kind of defensive reliability that can swing games in Indiana's favor. Another underrated aspect of Turner's game is her ability to communicate on defense. Championship caliber teams don't just rely on talent, they rely on chemistry and communication, especially on the defensive end. Turner is a smart player who understands defensive schemes, knows where to be at all times, and isn't afraid to direct traffic on the court. That kind of leadership will be crucial for a young Fever team still learning how to win consistently. Then, there's the question of how this move impacts Indiana's offense. While Turner isn't known for her scoring, she doesn't need to be. Her job is to set screens, roll to the basket, crash the boards, and make the right plays. That's exactly the kind of role player Indiana needed, a low-maintenance, high-impact player who can contribute without demanding touches. Clark will benefit from this immediately. One of the hardest things for a rookie guard is dealing with defensive pressure, especially when opponents know they are the primary scoring option. Defenders are going to be all over Clark this season, trying to trap her, force bad shots, and make her life miserable. Having a strong screener like Turner helps Clark get open looks, whether it's coming off pick and rolls or running off ball screens. The chemistry between Clark and Turner could develop into something special. Turner's ability to set hard screens and roll to the basket gives Clark another option when defenses collapse on her. If Clark is doubled on the perimeter, she can dump the ball inside to Turner, who can either finish at the rim or kick it out to an open shooter. That inside-out dynamic is what makes teams dangerous, and with Clark's court vision, she'll find ways to make it work. It's also worth noting that Turner doesn't need to score a lot of points to make a difference. Some of the best teams in the WNBA have players who thrive in specialized roles, players who don't necessarily fill up the stat sheet, but contribute in ways that don't always show up in the box score. Turner is one of those players. She might not score 20 points a night, but she'll make multiple defensive stops, grab key rebounds, and provide the kind of stability Indiana needs to be competitive in the postseason. The Fever's ceiling just got higher with this move. They were already an exciting young team, but adding a defensive anchor like Turner gives them a legitimate chance to compete with the best teams in the league. It doesn't guarantee a championship, but it does give them a roster that can go toe-to-toe with just about anyone. Of course, there are still challenges ahead. Chemistry takes time to build, and the Fever will have to go through growing pains as they integrate new pieces into the lineup. Clark is still a rookie, and while she's expected to be a generational talent, she'll have to adjust to the speed and physicality of the WNBA. But what's exciting is that Indiana is building something real. This isn't just about a flashy rookie or a few off-season moves. It's about constructing a winning foundation. The Fever aren't just trying to make the playoffs, they're trying to win it all. This move sends a message to the rest of the league. Indiana isn't waiting around. They're going all in to build a contender around Clark, and they're making the smart strategic moves necessary to take that next step. With Turner in the mix, the Fever have an identity. They're going to be tough, fast, and relentless. They're not just relying on Clark's offense, they're building a defense that can back her up. That's how you create a championship team. The road ahead won't be easy, but one thing is clear. The Fever just leveled up in a big way, and if this is just the beginning, the rest of the WNBA better be ready. Briana Turner's arrival changes everything for the Fever. Defense wins championships, and pairing her with Clark's offensive firepower could be unstoppable. But will this move truly push Indiana to a title? Only time will tell. What do you think? Will Turner help Clark lead the Fever to glory? Drop your thoughts in the comments.